ಸಿಯಾನ್ ಚಾಲನಾ ವೀಕ್ಷಕರೇ, ಇವತ್ತು ವಿಶ್ವ ಯೋಗ ದಿನ. ಈ ಯೋಗ ದಿನಾಚರಣೆಗೋಸ್ಕರ ನಾವು ಒಂದು ವಿಶೇಷ ಕಾರ್ಯಕ್ರಮವನ್ನು ಹಮ್ಮಿಕೊಂಡಿದ್ದೀವಿ. ತಜ್ಞರೊಂದಿಗೆ ಮಾತುಕತೆ. ಈ ಕಾರ್ಯಕ್ರಮ ಇಂಗ್ಲಿಷ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಇರುತ್ತೆ. ಹಾಗಾಗಿ ನಾನು ನಮ್ಮ ಅತಿಥಿಗಳನ್ನ ಇಂಗ್ಲಿಷ್ ಅಲ್ಲೇ ಮಾತಾಡಿಸ್ತೀನಿ. ಇವತ್ತು ನಮ್ಮ ಜೊತೆಗಿದ್ದಾರೆ ಡಾಕ್ಟರ್ ಎನ್ ಪ್ರಭುದೇವ. ಇವರು ಬೆಂಗಳೂರಿನ ವಿಶ್ರಾಂತ ಕುಲಪತಿಗಳು, ಹಾಗೆ ಜಯದೇವ ಆಸ್ಪತ್ರೆಯ ವಿಶ್ರಾಂತ ನಿರ್ದೇಶಕರು. ಗುಡ್ ಈವ್ನಿಂಗ್ ಡಾಕ್ಟರ್.
Good evening, Kiran. How are you?
Fine, sir. Today, International Yoga Day. So now there is so much talk on holistic medicine with yoga as an alternative therapy. Please give a bird's view on these aspects, sir.
Thank you, Kiran. Well, we are in the midst of a receding second wave of the corona pandemic and anxiously looking forward as to when the third wave strikes.
Yes.
So in the midst of it all, we are, in the threshold of International Yoga Day. And I thought this is the time we can, talk about the yoga and the medical yoga therapy. Well, 7th, International Yoga Day is on 21st June, 2021. That's on Monday. Yoga is associated with the culture and heritage of India. It is believed that yoga originated in India about 5,000 years ago. Vedic period is supposed to be the origin of traditional yoga in India. Modern yoga is believed to have begun with the Parliament of Religions held in Chicago in 1893. It's there that the young Swami Vivekananda made a lasting impression with his Brothers and Sisters of America speech. UN has declared June 21st as the International Yoga Day at the Prime Minister Modi's suggestion. Now yoga has become international. Yoga is an invaluable gift of India's ancient tradition. It embodies unity of mind and body, unity of thought and action, restraint and fulfillment, unity of harmony between man and nature. It's a holistic approach to the health and well-being. We have to weave the Western medicine, yoga and Ayurveda together for a healthy life. The relationship between these sciences is not always an easy one. But when you start putting them together, it is amazing how well they fit and what a beautiful tapestry of care and combination it creates. When I need help, supposing I have an emergency, on emergency issues, I head straight to Western medicine. I know I'll get lasting, fast symptom treatment and system and tissue repair. Ayurveda may also help in these situations as a supportive system. If it is back pain and spondylosis, I go to yoga. It is chronic disease, I go to a combination of allopathy and Ayurveda. In my life, Ayurveda and Western medicine is a sweet combo. Western medicine has saved my life a number of times. Combination empowers me to live the best of life. As the holistic approach to wellness gains traction, the mainstream yoga integrates the facets of physical, psychological, and social perspectives on health. Meditation offers a way to step back from the way we live and detach ourselves from the negative patterns of our lives. Pranayama, a controlled breathing technique, integral to yoga, can be used along with the asanas and meditation to attain a quality of objectivity. It is important that yoga does not adhere to any particular religion, belief system, and community. It is universal. Now let us look what is health. Health is a state of anatomic, physiologic, and metabolic integrity. It is a state of physical, mental, and social well-being. It's a state where disease and infirmity are absent. Health could be disrupted from time to time by diseases. Let the spirit of yoga be a way of life. Integrate different streams of medicine to achieve holistic health care in the world and foster well-being of humanity, particularly during these challenging times of the pandemic. What is medical yoga? It is defined as the use of yoga for the prevention and treatment of medical conditions. Beyond the physical elements of yoga, it also incorporates appropriate breathing techniques, mindfulness, and meditation in order to achieve the maximum benefits. Yoga can positively impact the body to regulate blood glucose levels, improve musculoskeletal ailments, and keeps the cardiovascular system in tune. It also has been shown to have important psychological benefits. Yoga can increase mental energy and positive feelings and decrease aggressiveness and depression and anxiety. Now, how is it different? Yoga views the bodily processes different from the typical allopathic concepts of anatomy and physiology and biochemistry and pathology. Yoga is a process of self-transcendence. Self-transcendence leads to creativity and spirituality. Traditional yoga is a spiritual practice to unite with the divine. The contemporary yoga focuses more on fitness and a sound body, while the physical and mental health is a natural consequence of yoga. The goals of yoga are more far-reaching. Within the past few decades, yoga has infiltrated not only Western culture, but also into Western medicine. Modern medicine has made enormous progress in controlling communicable diseases over the past century. Now, the non-communicable diseases, for a short form called as NCDs, have reached the epidemic proportions and caused majority of the deaths worldwide. Now, let us see what are these non-communicable diseases. India is a country in epidemiological transition from communicable diseases to non-communicable diseases. The NCDs are often referred to as lifestyle diseases because majority of the diseases are preventable illnesses. Now, what are the leading causes of death globally? Annually, 41 million people worldwide die from non-communicable diseases. It's equivalent to about 71% of all deaths that occurs globally. Each year, more than 15 million people die from NCDs between the ages of 30 and 69 years. This is called as the premature death incidence. Historically, many NCDs have been seen as those of the rich, but NCDs are a big burden in India, which is a rich country with poor people. With an estimated 80% of the 4 main diseases of the NCD, that is cardiovascular diseases, diabetes, cancers, chronic respiratory diseases, including asthma, mental health, conditions and injuries, often resulting in accidents, result in India. Now, what are the risk factors for these NCDs or non-communicable diseases? Tobacco accounts for nearly 7.2 million deaths every year. 4.1 million deaths every year have been attributed to excess salt and or sodium intake, which leads to high BP. Cancer is the second leading cause of death globally and is responsible for an estimated 9.6 million deaths in 2018. Globally, about 1 in 6 deaths are due to cancer. More than half of the 3.3 million annual deaths attributable to alcohol abuse are from NCDs, including cancer. 1.6 million deaths annually can be attributed to insufficient physical activity or sedentary lifestyle. Now, what are the metabolic risk factors? First and foremost is the high blood pressure. It affects nearly 3 in 10 Indians and is responsible for 17.5% of all deaths in India. It causes 53.8% of deaths due to heart disease, 55.7% of deaths due to stroke, and 54.3% of deaths due to chronic kidney disease. Overweight and obesity 8 million deaths or adults die each year as a result of being overweight or obese. 44% of the diabetes burden, 23% of the ischemic heart disease burden, and between 7 to 41% of certain cancer burdens are attributable to overweight and obesity. Diabetes is the high blood sugar level and causes about 3.4 million deaths in the globe. Now, what is the prescription for these diseases? The ideal prescription is medicine and yoga. The yogic practice of breathing techniques, bodily postures, meditation, and self-reflection is a healthy, nourishing diet, reducing substances such as caffeine, tobacco, drugs, and alcohol. Now, consider yoga therapy as a complement to their patient's outgoing medical treatment and ongoing medical treatment. Yoga alone should not be considered as an alternative for appropriate medication. Yoga brings the autonomic nervous system into healthy balance. The sympathetic nervous system is our emergency response system. It is activated when our body or mind feels threatened or stressed. This is our fight or flight response. Then we have the rest and digest mechanism of our nervous system and is a phenomena of parasympathetic nervous system. Yogic practices decrease the arousal of the autonomic nervous system and reduce one's heart rate and blood pressure and ease one's respirations. Yoga and cardiac disease. The cardiovascular diseases is a cascade that includes atherosclerosis, stroke, arrhythmias, hypertension, and high cholesterol. It is time, and it is the leading cause of death and disability. Yoga therapy is a significant cost-effective therapy for cardiovascular events. Even a short-term medical yoga therapy reduces the risk of cardiovascular diseases. Yoga practices lower the blood pressure by 8 millimeters of mercury, increase lung capacity, improve respiratory function and the heart rate, improve circulation and boost the muscle tone. Yoga and stress. Many in today's society live in a state of overdrive, which stimulates the adrenal cortex to produce and release cortisol, the stress hormone. This stress hormone subsequently raises blood glucose levels, suppresses the immune system, and causes retention of sodium and water by the kidneys, with subsequent increased blood volume and blood sugar and blood pressures. There are over 1,400 biochemical reactions that the body has to respond in stress, with effects on one's body, mind, and emotions and behavior. It shows up as headache, back pain, hypertension, arrhythmias, irritable bowel syndrome, insomnia, depression, anxiety, fatigue, and often other accidents. Yoga-based practices postulates that the movement sequences and usually fraught in conjunction with the breathing and meditation techniques work a soothing effect on the vagal tone and restores normal heart rate and BP. If you look at yoga and meditation, it appears that formal meditation practice can change both brain structure and function. It's called as brain plasticity. Yogic practices increase both critical thickness and gray matter in areas of controlling emotional regulation and executive functioning. Meditation has been shown to increase the thickness of left hippocampus and affects the long-term memory and emotional regulation and recognition. If you look at yoga and neurotransmitters, yoga practices can increase multiple neurotransmitters and hormones such as GABA, serotonin, and dopamine, all natural antidepressants. It increases levels of melatonin, helping to initiate sleep, improving sleep quality and sleep regulation, as well as increasing the levels of oxytocin, the bonding hormone, thus helping with feelings of connectedness. Yoga and telomeres. Meditation and yoga protects the telomeres from withering with the age and even elongates the telomeres. Telomeres prevent the deterioration of aging processes. If you look at yoga and inflammation, inflammation is the body's natural immune response to infection, injury, and stress. However, inflammation can have a serious health implication when it becomes prolonged and chronic, leading to the development of chronic disease like type 2 diabetes, atherosclerosis, cardiovascular disease, and autoimmune disease and age-related disorders. Yoga has been found to decrease the inflammatory markers such as C-reactive protein and other inflammatory cytokinases in blood while increasing the levels of multiple immunoglobulins, and natural immune cells. Yoga for lower back pain and sciatica treatment. Lower back pain and sciatica pain are two common ailments that most people suffer from. This is due to the wrong posture of seating and incorrect exercise pattern, overexertion, and lifting heavy weights, etc. cause these lower back pains. Statistics tell us that there is 40% of chances of every individual suffering from sciatica nerve pain in their lives. You can perform yoga to get relief from these acute lower back pains and sciatica and spondylosis. In simple terms, spondylosis is the degeneration of the spine due to wear and tear of the spinal column due to age. Yoga postpones age-related chronological changes. If you look at respiratory disorders, yoga as an adjuvant therapy in chronic obstructive pulmonary disease, or also called as COPD, is well established with significant improvement in lung function and quality of life with bronchial responses coupled with decreased need for regular medical usage. There is perceptible improvement in breathlessness and lung function, and even after 4 weeks of yoga therapy. Pranayama enhances the blood oxygenation and reduces hypoxia. Coming to yoga and cancer, according to the finding of a comprehensive meta-analysis of the role of yoga in cancer, improvements in psychological health were seen in yoga groups. Overall quality of life showed significant improvement. Yoga techniques have shown increase in immune cells in cancer patients after practicing Sudarshana Kriya yoga and pranayama breathing techniques. Yoga therapy has become extremely popular in treating a wide variety of psychosomatic disorders and chronic diseases. Important documented health promoting benefits of mind-body practices such as yoga, it includes improvement in cardiorespiratory efficiency, improvement in exercise tolerance, and harmonious balance between the autonomic function, improvement in dexterity, strength and steadiness of stamina and flexibility, and neuromuscular skeletal coordination, increase in alpha rhythm and interhemispheric coherence of the homogeneity in the brain, and it improves the sleep quality. To wind up, ladies and gentlemen, yoga is the change we all need. Ongoing research into yoga-based practices continue to reveal health benefits, supporting the use of yoga in health management. The practice of yoga is not as easy as or as quick as taking a medication, but mounting evidence suggests that it is worth the effort and investment. We have found ourselves in a moment where everything is changing and no one really knows what the post-COVID yoga world will be like. Embrace the physical and mental healing power of yoga as an adjuvant to allopathic and holistic medicine. It is never too late to adopt yoga as a lifestyle. It cultivates calm and self-reflection. It teaches you mindfulness. Yoga imparts confidence and self-control. Yoga is your only companion for life is your body. Yoga takes care of it. Thank you, sir.
It's great, Doctor. A very excellent talk on yoga. And I have some questions today. Today morning, we were speaking with Dr. Y. Rudrappa. He's a homeopathy doctor and a yoga practitioner, and he's established so many institutions. Yoga, you already you have spoken with yoga, allopathy and yoga, and modern medicine. So many confusions in these days. And mainly the patients are the problem holders of diseases. Which practice is best, modern medicine or yoga?
See, for the past century, when we were mostly affected by the communicable diseases, what we call tuberculosis, AIDS, then it could be infections, smallpox, malaria. Then in this system of infectious diseases, there is no doubt that it is the allopathy medicine which is the best. Allopathy medicine is the best for emergency cases like infectious treatment emergencies. Whereas chronic diseases, where the allopathic medicine really falls short of curing chronic diseases. But in chronic diseases, allopathy medicine gives only a symptomatic treatment. It doesn't cure the disease, but it only tries to cure the symptoms. So there is always a place for combination of allopathy, Ayurveda, and yoga. And yoga, particularly in where the spinal disorders are concerned, probably yoga is the best. And yoga also, it improves your mental conditions. Like it prevents depression, it prevents anxiety, and improves your mindfulness. Probably a combination of allopathy, Ayurveda, and yoga is the best for all the patient community. But you have to choose where. If you are having an emergency, as I said before, if I have an emergency, I'll immediately go to an emergency care room of the allopathy. Exactly. If I have a back pain, I'll go to Ayurveda.
You have mentioned medical yoga. So the new terminology are already in practitioners.
No, medical yoga is not a new terminology, but the system of applying yoga for medical conditions is coming up now in a big way. But as I told you, various conditions like autoimmune disease, cancer, for diabetes, stress-induced diabetes, all these things, yoga gives you a stability, and then it controls the autonomic nervous system, both symptomatic as well as your parasympathetic nervous system. See, sympathetic nervous system is fight and flight response, whereas parasympathetic is eat and digest, or rest and digest system.
In allopathy, yoga therapy, will they accept, sir?
Yeah, they see now the no mainstream. Now the whole thing is yoga has already come into the mainstream.
Yes,
Ayurveda is in the mainstream. Okay. Allopathy was already in the mainstream, but now we are trying to put together the best of allopathy, the best of Ayurveda, and the best of yoga. So this is called as contemporary medicine.
Any combinations of working in government hospitals are like in this? Combination.
So government has taken many steps to appoint, those who are trained in Ayush. In fact, there are about nearly in Karnataka itself, there are about 48,000 Ayush doctors working in various government hospitals. So there is an attempt to involve, yoga, Ayush, and allopathy together. But only thing is, these Ayush doctors are not allowed to prescribe allopathy.
Exactly. That is the controversy, sir. You have a long history and experience in heart diseases and heart problems, and you have treated many patients and obese patients you have already spoken. So in yoga, how you suggest these patients are recovering patients?
See, particularly in cardiac disease, what it affects is, it affects the heart rate, it affects the blood pressure. So these two things should be taken care of. Actually, cardiovascular disease is a cascade. It's not one entity. Like it's not either exclusively restricted to blood pressure. It is also diabetes also contributes to this thing. High cholesterol or fat diet also contributes to cardiovascular disease. That's why we call cardiovascular disease as a cascade. Now the yoga itself, it is it reduces yoga along with meditation. It calms the mind. It calms the autonomic nervous system. It calms the sympathetic nervous system, which is called as the fight or flight. Whenever the mind senses a danger, it suddenly it goes into overactivity. The heart rate increases, the blood pressure increases, and all these things have a negative effect on the functioning of the body. Like, the people come up with headache, with arrhythmias, with fatigue, with, body aches, like this. But maintenance of, these conditions under control, yoga does this effectively. It reduces the it reduces the overactivity and induces a sense of calmness on this nervous system.
Yes, doctor. Nowadays, we are suffering from lot of problems. Corona and financial status and social status are so many problems. And you have mentioned earlier, yoga will be a stress management. So, how you prefer stress management in these scenarios?
No, yoga is being looked at as a definitive adjunct therapy for some cases, like those who have recovered from COVID. This is what is called as a long haul COVID or COVID. Syndrome, post-COVID syndromes. These, people who have recovered from, from Corona have had, various issues regarding their, ability to walk, ability to musculoskeletal pain, then neuralgias, and, all these problems have been seen in patients who have recovered from Corona. Well, this is a new field actually. And this is where yoga is supposed to help and has been shown to help, particularly musculoskeletal disorders and the rhythm disorders. These yoga will calm the nervous system and control these things much better. Of course, medication, it's not an alternative to medication.
Yes,
it is adjuvant therapy.
Absolutely.
It is a side by side. It helps.
And you have mentioned yoga and cancer. Have you observed so many cases? Any instances? To support this?
See, you may be surprised that obesity and diabetes are the commonest causes of cancer in India. And India has become the third obese country in the world. You may be, because we all think that India is a poor country and poor people are not associated with, overweight. But unfortunately, it has happened in India that, we have, poor people who are obese. So, and the inadequate medical facilities that we have, either in terms of, because we don't have a universal, coverage, insurance coverage. And it so happens that in India, every year, 40% of the people, even middle class people, are driven into poverty.
Yes, sir.
Because of the out-of-pocket expenses. So we are looking at, we have to look at the governmental facilities to increase the expenditure on the medical, treatment. So, of course, Modi government has introduced what is called as Ayushman Bharat.
Nearly
500
million
million
fantastic
people
program.
to be benefited of these things.
In future, how the government allocate this allopathy and homeopathy, so totally health budgets?
No, that's what we expect. We request that the government, we were looking at the inadequacies which we have faced during the Corona, first wave, second wave, where we had, a stream of inadequate arrangements. Like, we don't have beds, we don't have doctors, we don't have nurses, we don't have ICU facilities, we don't have ventilators. So and medical facilities, medicines. So looking at these things, now the medical allocation in the budget is just about 1.5 to 2%. So unless it is made about 5 to 6% medical allocation in the budget, I think we'll be really, the health of the nation will be much below what we expect it to be. In fact, we are below Bangladesh when compared to national health indices.
Exactly, sir. Exactly. Thank you very much, doctor. You have given enlighten and our viewers about yoga and stress management and alternative medicine also. Thank you very much, doctor.
Thank you. Thank you very much for this opportunity.
Thank you.
Thank you.
ನಾನು ಕನ್ನಡಿಗಳು. ಮೈಸೂರು ಸ್ಯಾಂಡಲ್ ಸೋಪ್ ನಮ್ಮ ಕನ್ನಡ ನಾಡಿನ ಅಸ್ಮಿತೆ. ನಾನು ಮೈಸೂರು ಸ್ಯಾಂಡಲ್ ಸೋಪ್ ಬಳಸೋದು, ನೀವು ಈ ಸೋಪ್ ಬಳಸಿ. ನಮ್ಮ ಕನ್ನಡತನವನ್ನು ಉಳಿಸಿ. ಜೈ ಕರ್ನಾಟಕ.